the champ is here.
Yes, indeed.
I say the champ is here.
Yes, indeed.
I say the champ is here.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, man. So we got a local Joe in here. Man, this joker ain't just local, man. This dude right here has been all over the place, boxing, knocking jokers out for a while now. He's the first vegan champ I found out, and we're gonna talk a little bit about that as well. But been in the game for a long time, man, and been doing this thing. Has made us proud for a long time. One of the boxing pioneers early in the game in the D.C. area. Says a lot about him in itself. So let's give it up one more time for my main man, Keith Holmes, in the building. Yeah, champ. Good to see you, bro.
Welcome
to the party.
Thanks for having me.
Yes.
Man, we appreciate you coming aboard, man. So I know it's been a long journey. So for those people who are not boxing fans or not quite aware of who you are, let them know, who is Keith Holmes?
Keith Holmes, two-time middleweight champion of the world, two-time United States champion, and one-time Maryland State champion. I grew up in Washington, D.C., on the southeast and northeast side.
South side.
Went to school in Berry Farms and grew up in Paradise and Sheridan Terrace.
Wow.
I didn't know that, Keith. So
yeah.
you was over the farms.
Yeah, I played in the farms a lot.
I didn't know
got
that.
in trouble.
Okay, well, yeah.
Yeah, but I was on Sheridan Terrace with my family over there.
Got you.
Yeah.
Got you.
Okay.
So that's where it all started.
Yeah, that's where it all started. My mom was in Southeast, and my grandmother was in Northeast.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so you started boxing at an early age.
Yeah, I started when I was 6 years old, and it was something. It was by the hand of my mom, because I watched it a lot, and I think it was a lot of, like, my family thought I was jealous of my brother because he had a lot of talent in music.
Okay.
And so I wanted that talent, so I would hold stuff, like, if he did something wrong, I would hold it over his head for him to let me play in the band. And I didn't really know how to play nothing but the cowbell at that time. So
the cowbell, though?
Yeah, so he was getting all that attention. So I just used to go on my mother. When we had one TV, we had to transfer it back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to just watch the boxing on Saturday. You remember when they used to come on ABC, NBC?
I sure do.
Yeah, so we ain't had a cable.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Yeah.
So Mom was a boxing fan?
She was a Sugar Ray Leonard fan, and that made me really, heated, because I used to suck my thumb, and she would come in the room while I'm watching him, and I put my thumb in my mouth because I'm going to hear her talk about her husband.
Oh, so she was in love with Sugar Ray?
Yeah, that's why I started liking Hagley and Hearn.
Oh my God.
That's crazy, but
Yeah.
a lot of women were in her position. The truth be told, a lot of women in the city loved Sugar Ray. He was a ladies' man and this and that. So that transferred you into a boxing energy. So that's something that drew you into boxing, just coming in the room watching moms. You said, I think I'm going to be a boxer?
Yeah, I was watching it a lot. And my mom was a street person. She loved hanging in the streets.
I got you.
When she was young. And she would come home sometime, and I would be in her room watching ABC Sports or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I think it was one time the Olympics was on. And she said, boy, you watching boxing again? And then she said, you need to try out for it. And she said it like it was a football team or a basketball team.
Right.
And then I actually took it further and jumped up and called my grandmother and said, my mom said I can move with you so I can box.
So you took it fast.
Yeah, I went all the way with it.
Yeah, all the way.
Because the boxing gym was in Northeast.
Yeah.
Well, number 11 was up the hill, but I wanted to box on my Northeast.
Got you. And so, fast forward, tell me about some of the trials you went through early on in the stages. There's a lot of things that people don't know that go on in boxing. So, what are some of the hidden trials that you may have to face as a boxer early on?
Early on, when I going into the amateurs, you actually had, when you started to compete, it would be at the age of 8.
Okay.
So I started at 6. So
Okay.
I had to wait 2 years, and I had to do the same routine the whole time, which benefited me later on.
Yeah.
And you go through things as a kid, and my coach was like, he would give you names of what he thought you act like. Like, he called me Yo-Yo because I did stupid things.
You was cutting up a little bit?
Yeah. So going in the amateurs, it wasn't really a whole lot of focus. But I guess I pretended like I was focusing because I watched Rocky and I was drinking raw eggs and orange juice to my mother, and we barely had food.
Right,
so
right.
where the eggs at?
Right, right.
I was building a whole lot of cholesterol at that time, right?
Right.
Killing myself. So,
Trying to watch out what they doing. You watching them imitate.
So I would get on the floor, do the push-ups. 7 years old, I would run all the way around the block. And around the block in Southeast is like all the way up Stanton Road and by Parkland, all that, you know what I'm saying?
It's
so
way
I was all
bigger
way
than
out
the block.
neighborhood. Yeah, so getting in trouble like that and you know, trying to be something that she said I was going to be. She said I was going to be just like Sugar Ray Leonard. I didn't know what that was, but he was famous.
Yeah.
So I was like, damn, I'm going to get this fame over my brother. His talent.
So it was all based on the fact that you guys were competing.
Being competitive.
Or you were competing with him.
I think that I started to grow to be a competitive person from that.
Yeah.
You know, and not in a bad way. I loved the attention he got, but I wanted it too. You know, and so when I grew older in the amateurs, I started to get it in the amateurs, but then I started not wanting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I became more laid back.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
So I mentioned this vegan situation early on when I first announced you. You told me off camera that you were one of the first vegan, not one of, the first vegan champion.
Yeah.
How did that come about, and how did you even get involved with being a vegan?
I was growing up, and like I think around 91, 92, I started to study more about health and things of that nature, even at that young age. And I was into the streets and boxing at the same time because something had happened where it drew me into deep into the streets.
Okay.
And there was a lot of people transitioning at that time because of this situation. So one day I used to love to eat sunny side up eggs, and one day it started to come back up. And once it started to come back up, it tasted funny. I got rid of it. Then my grandmother, around 94, she got sick, and she ended up, retiring from Georgetown University.
Okay.
And like a year later, she got really sick, and it was because of her health. So I went to the doctor and had a conversation with her doctor, and he was telling me, don't give her no more fried food, just give her baked food. Don't give her no more baked food, just give her boiled food. Don't give her no more meats, just give her vegetables. But by that time, she was in her deathbed. And I went to the doctor and I said, after he said about the vegetables, I kind of like cursed him out. I said, You mother MF, you knew from the beginning. And from that point on, I stopped eating meat.
From that point?
You just stopped.
Yeah, I stopped eating meat. And
so you felt like they knew that meat was a big contribution to
I
her
know
health.
they know.
Yeah.
I know they know. And, so from that point on, I just, I ended up in the situation. So in the situation, I had just won my second United States title, and I can't really say because it's in the book.
I got you.
But I was in the situation.
Get the book.
Get the book.
I was in the situation, and I was facing a lot, right? And I stood in the cell, slept. I stood in the situation, right?
So you were incarcerated.
Yeah.
It's in the book. They're going to read it.
And I promised. I made a promise to the Creator, and so, when I come out of that situation, he put it all on the table. And I found myself in different countries, and Africa, Soweto, South Africa, Jerusalem, all that. Doing what I promised, speaking.
So, speaking of Jerusalem, how did that affect you? Because I think that you mentioned that trip changed you. How did Jerusalem change you?
I don't know. I was laying on the Dead Sea. That's a body of water you can just lay on, right?
I'm very familiar, yeah.
So I'm laying on the Dead Sea with my father-in-law, and he was a U.S. Marshal at that time. And we didn't get along when I was in the streets, but we became so tight that we went to Jerusalem together.
Okay.
And I was floating, and I kind of like dozed off. And he woke me up. He said, "Boy, what a kid like you from the project doing in Jerusalem?" And I just looked at the sky, and it was like amazing that I'm in the book. I'm in the book. I'm actually in the water that's in the book. The most powerful book in the world.
Facts.
And I'm in this land. But just a year or two ago, I was doing everything under the sun that God was displeased with. Yeah. So, everything that caused me to be in that city,
I'm familiar.
And so it made me feel like, you got a position, you got a purpose. So you better get on your purpose, or this ain't gonna go long. So I started to, and that's why I can't. I'm more humble now. I'm more private now. Yeah. And I'm not delving into anything that, people might say you don't support this, you don't support that. Now I can't do that because certain things like you got on your shirt, I can't do that. You know what I mean? And I'm not doing it not because I don't want to support you, but it's just I can't do that.
I understand.
So it's
and a lot of people don't understand that because they're not where you are. It takes growth, right? It takes being learned and understanding certain things to be there. So a lot of people would look at you like, oh, he this, he that. But if they understood the reason and the rationale, then they probably would definitely understand that it's not personal. It's just growth.
Yeah, and it's deep. Growth. It's deep. It's deeper than what you think, or what they think. And so, you try not to get entrapped into that type of situation like a matrix.
There you go. So that's like I said, that's growth.
We got to get the book.
Yeah. So let's get the title of this book out there and let them know where they can find this book. Let's get into that a little bit. So what's the title of your book?
Well, let me go back a little bit.
Okay.
Book been available 10 years ago.
Really?
Just didn't want to put it out because it was kind of like I felt like it was going to create a recreation of me, of that, and people going to look at that.
Gotcha.
And so I said to myself, if I put it out and put a message behind it of what why you shouldn't take this path, then that's when I decided. So it's been about 12 years since I wrote this book.
Wow.
And then I started to touch it, and it's a little different. But everything in the book is basically true. So I had about 4 or 5 names of it. I had Road to Perdition. I had, How Did I Become a World Champion? A lot of titles.
Different titles.
But then I came up with it after seeing something. I forgot what it was, and I named it Dark Path of a Champion.
Dark Path of a Champion.
I like it.
I like that title.
I like it.
And so a lot of people didn't even know you to know the dark side. They just saw you as a champion, right? They didn't see the undertones. They didn't see the backstory. They don't know your backstory. So a lot of times what I learned is the backstory is what made you who you are. And I thank God for my backstory. It wasn't always great either. And so it gave me something to stand on, and it showed me what not to do as I matured. You know what I'm saying? So now I can go back and touch on the young. And so do you have something that you do with the youth, or are you considering doing something with the young kids? Because a lot of kids look up to you, as a champion and as a boxer and as a success. So do you think it's something that you could do, or what would you say to someone that's out there young and they want to become a champion and, they going through the struggle like yourself? Because a lot of young people now are struggling with finding identity. So what would you say to one of the young kids or some of the young kids about becoming successful?
The main thing that I would I would love for the parents to instill in their children is that, first of all, you have to be the parent. You have to parent your children, or the streets gonna raise them. And when I was in the streets, I became a product of my environment, truly. And you will see how it changed once I changed environments. How I changed, but I used the streets for my way out and protecting. So, something happened that made me not take a dime for my family no more. Something tragically happened to me that made me not take money from my family no more, because I thought it happened because they couldn't take care of me. Yeah. They couldn't take care of me. And so when that happened, I used to give my family money on my birthday. And that, they ain't never questioned where I got it from or none of that. Yeah. But I used to give them money. And my grandmother, she was cool. She was cold street for real, right?
So she understood certain things.
So when I dumped money on the table, when I told her you can keep certain bills and you just count this out, you know what I mean? And she would do it. And it came to a point where, because I watched 2 things happen. I watched my mom on welfare struggle, and I watched my grandmother work struggle. I ain't want that life.
I feel you.
You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, when something tragically happened in Southeast, I eliminated that. And I was going to do anything in my powers to make it better. And that's how I ended up in the situation. But my message to the youth and the parents is that the streets should never be an option. Never be an option, because especially in these times now, there's always a way to make a dollar.
That's facts.
Yeah.
Not in the streets.
Yeah, I made every way to make a dollar back then criminal. You know, everything.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Y'all gonna
And
see
so-
me at a young age. I took something and pulled it on a wagon for about 5 miles, and it was so much bigger than me, and it was so heavy that me and my friends, they thought I was crazy. I said, no, we got to get this to our neighborhood, and we're gonna rip it apart. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
and the next day we started selling stuff. You know, so that's how I grew up.
Yeah.
You know.
And so I can relate to that because I also grew up on the other side of the fence, and I understand because, you know, it's sometimes tough growing up without having anything, and you want things you see other people have, and, you know, it's a draw. And so we were poor, and I get it. But fast forward, we got to get ready to get out of here. I didn't get a chance to touch on a lot of the things that I wanted to touch on, but I do like the title a lot. And I like what you said about, you know, the youngins. So,
Can we tell? Is the Vegan Hut Cafe still?
What we doing now? COVID really did a lot to a lot of people,
Yeah.
but we doing a lot of product placements in different stores, and we do family size orders. So yeah, I can
Gotcha.
cater spotlight over the city one
You
day.
can.
Yes,
okay,
I
so
can.
we're looking forward to that. 'cause
Yes, y'all.
I got
Y'all
these
heard
vegans
it,
in
right?
here, so they.
Yeah.
I got them vegans
You
in
got
here,
vegans
so
in here?
yeah. Where my vegans at?
No, Mighty Mouse.
Yeah, I got my
vegan now.
vegan.
You're
Yeah,
vegan.
my
We
vegan
got
in the
you.
back. I
We
got a
you.
vegan in the back.
Yes,
too.
we would love that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'll be cool though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
we
so
would love that.
and so congratulations to all of the things that you do have going on, brother. Keep us posted. Congratulations on the book.
People
That's a
on
big
here
deal.
asking, how do they get the book?
Yeah, how do they get the book?
Right now, it's on Amazon. It's on Target. It's on Walmart.
Oh, okay.
I'll be posting a whole all of the book signing.
Got you. That's what I was
locations.
going to ask you about, the book signing.
Yeah, we're doing that. We're going to be doing that really big, and I got something really, really big coming soon.
Oh, we can't.
Hey, so we gonna reveal it here. We
Yeah.
gonna get the
Nah,
exclusive.
we- yeah, you
know,
Hey, we
Okay,
got the
okay.
exclusive.
I
So
got
you heard he say he
Yeah.
gonna come back here and rock, and we're gonna put it out on Spotlight of the
Yeah.
City. Thank
Yes.
you, bro, for coming, rocking with Spotlight of the City. We definitely appreciate you, champ. All that you have done for us in the city, you have made us proud, man. I've come to
Yeah.
most of all your fights, and I've seen way back. I'm old head, so
You
I
want to see me
watched.
fight again?
Yeah, come on, do it.
You gonna
What you
still
gonna
fight?
do? Let's talk
I just
about it.
asked a question.
You're not
Yeah.
I just asked a question.
You
I'm
look like you in
asking,
shape.
are you?
What you got? I got somebody I can put you with.
I'm asking y'all a question. Y'all,
Oh,
y'all
man.
answer the
I'm
question
I'm the
with a
promoter.
question.
I'm getting ready to promote
I
this
want to
thing.
see.
So he
I
said
just-
he want me to
I
promote
was-
another
I just
fight,
asked
and
the
he get
question.
ready to fight. So I'm gonna
And you
promote
said
that
y'all
thing.
said yes.
I
So
said
that's it.
yeah.
Okay.
So that means he got something
Y'all
coming
heard
up.
it.
That means he got something coming up next.
Stay
We gonna
tuned.
stay
Spotlight is gonna
tuned. We're
break
gonna
the
reveal
news.
it. We're gonna reveal it. Okay, we got you.
Okay.
All right. So our producer fussing and cussing and throwing sticks. So we gotta wrap it up. So we appreciate you, Keith, for coming.
Yes,
Y'all
we
make
do.
sure y'all
Y'all-
get up for make sure you follow him. Where can they follow you before we get out?
Keith Holmes World Champ on IG and Facebook.
Keith Holmes World Champ.
Okay.
There you go. That's simple. Keith Holmes World Champ. Make sure you guys locked in, man. Y'all give it up one more time
Give
for
it
the champ.
up.
Keith Holmes.
All right.
next.
Without further ado, after this next commercial break, we have got our family
We got
back
the
in the building.
closers.
The
We got some closers in the building. You guys, we got some
closers.
vocals coming up for you guys. We heard the
Can't
soundtrack.
wait.
Totally amazing. We'll be right back. Spotlight over the city.
Yes. Y'all ready?